We're here at the historic Wendy's next to Green Hill, chatting with my friend here who's slowly dying.
No, not exactly. Not at all. But hey, did you know that before penicillin existed?
Did you know that methylene blue is 75% off at the InfoWarsStore.com, and if you took enough of that, you wouldn't be slowly dying like my friend here?
I'll pull up some statistics about infections. Ready? Now, understand, penicillin was made in the 1900 year 50. Around 1950. I thought it was 1951 that penicillin came out. I'm pulling up ChatGPT. Here it is. Okay. Penicillin was discovered in 1928. So penicillin was basically natural, but I think it's like a concentrated
It was a
thing.
mold in some guy's fridge in the laboratory.
Bread.
That was the story
bread.
they told us in high school anyway, and I remember it.
Moldy bread poultices rarely work, sometimes accidentally helped by introducing penicillin molds.
Alright, but George Washington walked around stabbing his men in the neck with a pointy needle that he stabbed an infected guy with. And that's how they stayed alive, and I think it was Valley Forge.
What?
Yeah, you never went to history class, bro? George Washington, they had a plague running through cold area, whatever it was called, during the frickin' winter. I think it was Valley Forge. They were all living in like crappy cabins and just like running out of food and trying to survive, and so he literally took a frickin' needle, a little pin, and poked the sick guy, and then poked all the healthy guys with the same fucking needle to get them kind of sick with it, and they got immunity. Like that. You never heard that story?
Yeah, it's not a good idea. It's not a good thing in practice. Okay.
What? You take your kids over to the frickin' kid
Nowadays,
with the,
if people are doing like
pox.
heroin and they have a needle
like
exchange.
a pin, like a pin.
All right. Well,
Didn't even have needles back then. He literally.
can we start this over?
No, we're saving all this. George Washington went around poking people with an infected pin.
So this is actually supposed to be informative. Okay, I'm not a doctor, but
Take your squirrel juice.
I do
today.
understand how it is important that you get your antibiotics when you need them. So ready? I'll give you the statistics on what happened. Now consider that this is biblical, because before 1940, people were dying from infections at a huge rate. So ready? Roughly 30 to 50% of all deaths in most societies before the 20th century were caused by infectious diseases. Pneumonia, tuberculosis, diarrhea, wound infections, childbirth infections, plague, smallpox, influenza, infected injuries, or dental abscesses. So when people had
Here's
an
a
infection,
thought to consider.
they had to use herbs and other things.
Well, now, so here's a thought to consider. Native American sweat lodges, fasting, herbs, and that kind of shit. Just sweating your way through a cold with a fever. Like, dude, I swear to God, me and Jalen had COVID, and you know how I dealt with it? Like, OG that I get my blood from, he had COVID too. The way we dealt with it was just to smoke a bunch of weed so that you got the munchies up, even through the cold. Battered the cold back with the weed to get the munchies up. The coughing coughs out all the fucking phlegm, and then just to eat mad food and sleep a lot. And just let yourself get into that sleep, that mad, refreshing sleep where you sweat like a bastard and you wake up like, you ever have those type of naps? Like,
No.
you never had a nap where you sweat like a bastard
No.
and throughout it, and you
Not
fucking
really.
wake up like during the summertime?
Well,
You
if
never have?
it was summer, but I don't mean like just from being sick.
You never slept through the fever and then felt better afterwards?
I've had a fever.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point of it, though, to cook yourself a little bit with the fever, and that kills off all the shit.
I
That's-
don't really use that idea.
Just give your body mad fuel. to
Drinking
work
cold
with.
water and having enough nutrients, that's what I do.
Well, that's
But- The thing about weed is that there's well, I know hemp seed oil can help with getting rid of spike protein.
I was just, I mean, another part of it is it will, you're spending all day in bed feeling miserable. It'll take some of the miserableness away from the experience.
But so here's the point. Here's the very important point, okay? You can take supplements and you probably are deficient and mutating as a byproduct of a government human experimentation program, but if you get your antibiotic when you have a tooth infection, that's basically what you need to do, because while I'm not a doctor, if you have an infection and you're masking the symptoms with supplements, what actually happens is you can die from an infection. And they're literally statistically 20 to 40% of people, many times throughout history, like 30 to 50% of people were dying from infections. This is before antibiotics.
All right, but so the point I was going to get at, though, is that I don't think, like, these Pakistani hill tribals who all their food is based off like pomegranate seed and they have no cancer rates in their village, or the Amish who don't know what autism, the Amish that don't know what autism is and they didn't have the COVID wave, right?
Hold on.
My point is,
I don't know if I should say
is that those death rates are also taken from industrialized modern civilizations that consider themselves modern at the time. So somebody gets a toothache, and instead of just sweating through it, the tooth falls out, you battle the infection, you heal, you eat a lot of healthy food, that kind of shit, right? And then you end up with, like, caveman guys who are missing half their fucking teeth, and scientists are like, well, how the hell did he survive? The village must have taken care of his ass. No antibiotics there. The point is, you take a mercury pill or some kind of solid chunk of aluminum or lead or whatever crazy ass medicines that the apothecary gave you at the time, and that's what killed you. Like, I bet a lot of those death rates, the reason why you have numbers there, right, for those time periods is because those were somewhat modern industrial civilizations. But if you look at Victorian era medicine, you got consumption or whatever, tuberculosis, you got any kind of, half the answer to the problems was eat a bunch of lead, smear lead all over your face, or mercury, both.
There's
really.
a percentage of people who would die from that. Not everybody trusted in that, though.
Oh yeah, but your hair gel had arsenic in it, for fuck's sake.
Well, people who would be smart would be like,
Your
okay, let's
cigarettes
use
had
natural.
asbestos in them.
Well, yeah, people probably just killing people on the idea that they want to do that anyway. Like, I don't know, but that's literally cursed. I mean, God wouldn't just lead people to be like, oh, let's go fucking take mercury pills. No. But the thing is, biblically, those people who died from those infections, like, that's a breakdown of human lineage.
Well,
So,
realistically,
what I'm saying is that part of the population that died, they died at a much younger age because they didn't have antibiotics. But when people finally got access to that,
well, biblically you're talking about
It's
people who are
biblical.
living hundreds of years. Biblically, you're talking about people living hundreds of years.
some people,
All right.
but there were a lot of people. I mean, people who would live hundreds of years. The other thing is the measurements of time. It seems that they change over time. Like, I don't know all of that, but what I'm saying is that, sure, there could be people who lived hundreds of years. There also are people who lived maybe 30 years because they didn't have antibiotics. But what I was looking at is literally someone can take a bunch of supplements and they could be giving themselves the nutrients that they need. It's not going to stop an infection. And people who have severe infections or even minor infections, like a tooth infection, can be really serious. Even if you're like, even if you're taking all sorts of supplements, it's not gonna fix everything.
It's
But it's important.
it's not 100%.
No,
The fever really is the number one vector the body uses to kill an infection off.
not entirely.
Yeah, that's like your number one
No, a
weapon.
fever. A
Brutally,
fever at a point.
brutally, mechanically speaking, like yeah, you got white blood cells and all kinds of other enzymes and shit going on, but at a mechanical level,
If it gets to a fever, it's severe. That's the thing.
Yeah.
There's other telltale signs like nausea and mental brain fog, stuff like that. So if you get to a fever, you get to a point where there's a serious problem. It could be that's part of an immune response, right? But that's not the main thing for fighting it. The fever is like, it could be like the last ditch effort of what that is.
well, no, because your body will throw a fever at you over the flu or normal like sinus infection, cold, normal.
But the
head cold.
flu is the reaction at a
Like-
point of like the biological processes have to actually break down that there is some kind of infection, that there is something that is activating these responses. So by the time that you get to a fever, like when I got a fever, and it could have been more severe because I already had been taking supplements, so like if it gets to that point, it's serious. But what I'm saying is basically a fever is serious.
I mean, I'm not really debating anything with you. I'm just saying, like, you got to consider that a large portion probably, just like chemo is fucking what kills people. A lot of people say, oh no, the chemo is what killed them, not the cancer itself, right? A large portion of the statistics of people that died before penicillin and in these
The thing about
industrialized
chemo,
societies.
The thing about chemo is
Well,
there's preventative measures already.
we don't have to go into the thing about chemo. It's just like the thing about chemo is what I said. Like it's people say all the time in this example, like you can concede that, yeah. I mean, people with medicines, all right, at the time in these societies that were taking these stats were probably worse off taking the medicines that they had access to than some tribal guy with a toothache who had no kind of goofy pharmacy to go to giving him mercury pills or whatever. You see what I'm saying? Like I would think the industrialized world in that Victorian area and beyond, up until penicillin and real science levels of shit, you see what I'm saying, would have worse numbers than just tribal people's 50-50 chance, right? Because if we got access to all these stupid pills, we're going to take them. You got something wrong with you, you're desperate, you're going to take them. If you don't, you're just going to let the body do its thing, and it's like more of a 50-50. But if you're already sick and you're taking frickin' mercury and all this crap,
Well, you'd have to look at the statistics of who actually, what percentage of these people took that. But at the same time, it's to a point where people were getting very sick. So like what I'm saying is that the lineage of humanity, people were dying off earlier than even 30 years old sometimes.
I was thinking of making a meme where it would be well, I don't know how exactly I want to structure this, but think about maybe a kid coming home from school, maybe a kid at the dinner table with a plastic bottle of water and saying, or I don't know how exactly I want to do this, but like somebody with a plastic bottle of water saying to another person, the Roman Empire had lead pipes. Wow, those guys were idiots. Drink. And like the plastic bottle, of course, will have a little poison symbol on it.
Well, there's bisphenol A in a lot of plastics. I don't think there's any other like really
I
serious.
think they took that out of
Problems?
most of the plastic
No.
shit.
Not most of it, but there's a lot of disclaimers about bisphenol A. Like if you buy a good quality, I think it's like Sterilite, which is kind of funny. It'd be called Sterilite because bisphenol A turns people sterile. But I have a Sterilite jug. I think it is. I think it's from Sterilite, but it's really good. But it's made out of plastic. It says I think on the bottom of it doesn't contain bisphenol A. But the other thing is bottled water or just plastic in general, nanoplastics. I'm sure most people who would listen to this have read articles online about the credit card per week of nanoplastics or whatever that people consume.
In your brain. No, I don't think it's that we consume a credit card a week worth.
It's in the digestive tract somehow.
I think it's just you got a credit card's worth in your brain.
Not exactly.
Wow.
No, it's in the digestive, like the intestine.
Plastic spoon. Fucking.
But there's detoxes for it. I mean, that's it. People already have to understand the weaponization of that kind of technology. It's not a joke, and it's not something that, like, okay, basically, here's the thing. There's so much censorship about nanotechnology weaponized through vaccines and
Go smoke.
other things. People eventually need to take this seriously.
Have that cigarette.
Yeah. People need to take it seriously because even if it is that people don't want everyone to know that information, it's affecting people's lives. That's it. Hey, it could be worse. Fine, no better.
Here. Okay. Don't worry, okay? Espérate.
Could be metal particles. And then you'd fucking. Could like a. Wouldn't be able to get to the airport. Take an MRI and get screwed up from it. I smoked it all already, I'm sorry. I'm just joking. Kidding? That was in my pocket.
Yeah, I think I'd probably still have a little bit of nicotine withdrawal, but I've been taking those nicotinamide pills.
Nicotinamide. I had a conversation one time with a woman. Trying to give me the don't smoke speech. This was like in a group session. This was like in a group when I was at the hospital one time, a couple years ago. And this chick actually like relapsed on fucking dope that my speech was so compelling. So I kind of fucked up. But she's trying to give me the whole group the don't do drugs speech, but she like started it with stop smoking cigarettes. And I was like, you know, I just have a problem with the clinicality of the don't do drugs sort of movement. I have a problem with the way most people address it. I have a problem with what is considered a drug. All right, the definition of it is so vague and loose.
There's a lot I want to say about this.
Anything that alters your state of consciousness. Any substance that alters your state of
So,
consciousness.
here's what I want to say about this. I hate drugs overall, unless it's like ibuprofen or something that you need, like an anti-allergy pill. There's a lot of drugs that are horrible for people and they're addictive. I'm smoking a cigarette right now, but I'll explain the entirety of what this really means, like about this kind of need to be aware against the pharmaceutical companies, not only them, but just for your health overall. A lot of people are chasing a dopamine release, and you don't need hard drugs to get a dopamine release.
All you need is a muscle card.
Oh, well, kratom is good, but kratom is good for releasing dopamine, and it's a natural plant, but it shouldn't be abused.
All
is
you
my point.
need to do is successfully execute the fucking gold glitch at the end of the Sierra Madre motherfucking Fallout New Vegas.
Hold on. This is important. So, I haven't done hard drugs ever, but I
No
was
Viagra. Would
I
you
was-
consider
listen,
Viagra
listen,
a
listen.
hard drug?
Hey, I was getting dope sick because my actual brain not releasing dopamine was what my brain was at. So I was getting dope sick and not addicted to drugs. And
I would just call that severe depression. The whole not wanting to get up thing.
no, that's not it.
You weren't sitting there throwing up and sweating your ass off.
I wasn't
and being like,
standing here
I can't
farting
eat.
either.
Yeah. Well, you gotta look how cold it is,
But listen,
right? So clearly Bill Gates was right, but he was wrong.
look, the thing is, so one of my friends told me about kratom,
Yeah,
and I tried it, and it was really good.
yeah.
But then I was researching it, and there's all sorts of people saying that it's an opioid and it's really bad for you. Well, the term opioid, honestly, there's a lot of opioids that people get addicted to, and it's not good for them. And I don't recommend that, and I'm not a doctor. But look, the thing is, people destroy their bodies. The body is a temple of the Holy Spirit, and you're supposed to make sure that you're not doing drugs, okay? Supplements are really good. You can get detox from all sorts of toxins and live a happy life and a clean life. I understand that there are like various natural mushrooms. They don't have to be magic mushrooms, okay? You can get legal mushrooms, and there's supplements. And those
What's that
actually
called?
really help.
Xenogenesis, I think, is the term that fucking the mushroom guy on Joe Rogan used when they're talking about the regrowing of neurons from taking certain kinds of mushrooms.
I don't know if that's the
regrow
term
brain
for it,
cells.
but
I think it's something like that.
yeah. So I'm not saying like take Amanita muscaria and do that. Like it's not about a mushroom trip. It's about getting your body to be. I think it's homeostasis.
Yeah.
But yeah. So you honestly like should take natural vitamins and be good at that. If you have an infection, then like even if you're taking stacks of vitamins, you get an infection, you need to use antibiotics because like I said, all sorts of stuff stacked, it can mask the symptoms, and then you could be at a point where like if you weren't taking those vitamins, you'd be like chronically ill. And obviously the stuff with the vaccines are horrible. Flu shots, horrible. There's kids who I was a kid who went to the freaking doctor every week. I was like 8 years old, just get a freaking butterfly tattoo. Like they're handing out these butterfly tattoos.
Oh yeah.
And people talk about the Monarch program.
Yeah.
So yeah, that stuff. I mean, I confirm that. I had a friend who was
Take the last couple of drags of that so we can go in.
I had a friend who was an Army Ranger who confirmed that. Yeah.
I used to chill with a ranger named Chris. When I was like 15, I went down like to the fucking I was just riding my bike around and I went down to the park by WPI and I ran into this old Army Ranger guy named Chris. And he became my drinking buddy for that summer. Like I go down there I go down there every other day. And fucking he would buy a bunch of 40s and we just sit in the gazebo and talk about all kinds of crazy shit.
So
He had a depleted uranium sliver in his foot. He had like a spot on his foot with a little piece of metal poking out. That was
depleted
turning
was he
black.
in the Gulf War?
Yeah, he was a Gulf War Ranger.
Yep.
He
Wonder
got
how
that
that
Bob
happened.
Marley syndrome. I know, right? He was a nomad who traveled across the country following the good weather, basically.
I honestly used to really respect the military,
Yeah.
and then I was lied to and basically framed for a mass surveillance program about zombie virus that never existed. I could elaborate on that. I kind of don't want to. But there's an idea that people who don't want to join the military after a point, because they learned something, might actually be better people than the people who are lying to them. But I guess that's the consequence of trying to make good friends.
I wonder how this tastes. The very last squirt of Coca-Cola out the machine. No, I think your zombie virus there might have been a Majestic 12 style disinformation operation.
I wouldn't say Majestic
Prop.
12, but
Well, you understand what the reference is there? So the
I read
idea-
about Majestic 12.
Well, the idea of that was that it was a psyop from the beginning that was just intended to seed all the magazines and tabloids of the time with, false information and hype about the UFO phenomenon, Project Bluebeam type stuff. You're one that thinks that it's not a real phenomenon and that
No.
we're dealing with fallen
No.
angels and stuff
no,
like
that's literally
that. All right,
just
so
a disinformation thing, but disinformation. But what I was getting at here is
all the zombie virus stuff is the best story I ever heard of it. Like
no, it was
It's all
bath
conditioning.
salts. No, it was bath salts.
Yeah, but that too, like, all right. Well, you go down that route in a second, but just conditioning that, the Golden Horde idea that when the infrastructure collapses within a week, all of the supermarkets will be closed, and so those zombie drills that the military was doing was to deal with the incapacitated modern people who are going to be walking around at a 20 IQ point deficit, having gone without food for, a week. Just tearing at
That would be
that.
if there
Pentagon-
if there wasn't food.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
But what I'm saying is that so I was a kid who was put on drugs and vaccines, flu shots. I got like tons of flu shots and tons of vaccines as an 8-year-old kid. But I was also put on prescription drugs against my will. They mind control these kids who survive these experimentation programs to have an interest in becoming part of the military. And so they have a military conditioning programming on kids who
It's called
survive.
Halo. Call of Duty.
Well, actually, some kids are like very conditioned about Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I was just joking about all the memes you see where the guy's like, I would never join the military to be part of World War III, and then it shows the recruitment officer walking in with a Master Chief helmet, and he says, hey, we got a new program
You want to sign up?
The point is, there are kids who are conditioned, and I don't blame video games, but there are kids who are conditioned because they have some idea that they want to do something honorable. And if people are joining the military and they're not aware of human experimentation programs, projects, whatever, they are very susceptible to this kind of blind ideology, very blindsided about what they believe in. Now, me being someone who was teeter-tottering on, oh, I want to learn about all of this human experimentation, but I also wanted to join the military. Well, I got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm going to make friends, and when I get a good friend group of these people, I'm going to figure out exactly what that is. And I did, in a way where 2 of them were military intelligence plants, just online friends, right? Who I met through YouTube.
Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vidman.
No, not him. I know their names. I know the names of these people.
Dude,
these people
that shit is
literally.
so funny. I can't believe it.
There's people who literally should be tried for treason and like court-martialed and put to some kind of prison sentence for what they did. But I knew a guy who was a captain, and he got promoted to a colonel, and then he got promoted to a general.
Huh.
I know his name. I'm not going to say it. But this guy said that he was at a base and that there were 12 privates who were murdered, but that they killed each other. So he said that he was investigating, like he was like a detective, colonel in the military, investigating that there were 12 privates who killed each other on a base. Now this is absolutely fabricated, and I know that because I knew that it was set up. I also had another friend who had told me about this fake zombie virus. It was around the same time. But it turned out it was completely fake. But it was set up as if this is like a test of telling me some disinformation or telling me some misinformation to flag me for a mass surveillance hit of like sending drones and cars and all sorts of shit.
And what was the ultimate goal of all of this?
The goal was to get some kind of like a false national security approval for this, to spy on me and to basically hit me with mind control after the fact. Because I had already been through this human experimentation thing as a kid. So I was a 14-year-old and had these 2 friends who were Army Rangers. And they both kind of gave me corroborating stories. And so one told me it was a virus, the other told me he was investigating 12 privates who died.
Just to see if you'd leak. On what?
That's
on the internet?
only part of it. The idea is, he said you can tell your closest friends. Well, one of them said you can tell your closest friends. But that is the idea of like setting someone up to leak something. At the same time, it's basically just they already had an agenda to surveil me about anything, because it's like, this is a survivor of a hit, so we're giving new information for this agenda. Like, this is a new profile, this person was told this, and this is what he believes, so now he knows about this fake zombie virus, and this is what we told him, but he's also not in the military. So that was part of their agenda. But it's not only 2 soldiers who are conspiring in that. It's literally
I can't
whatever
remember
that
the name of the guy,
ultimate
but it was a
corruption
pretty
is.
famous story of a dude who ran a aerospace company. He was like a successful businessman who ran an aerospace company, and the military did this same exact kind of routine on him, only with aliens. Like, basically,
Oh, sure they would.
they used him as a disinformation operation where, you know,
This is all sorts of like
he's
interest by
using,
proxy.
He's using his resources as a businessman to try to spy and look at what he thinks is aliens, but they're actually top secret planes being tested. And so the military finds out, because he fucking calls the military to talk to them about it. Like, do you see this stuff in your airspace, blah, 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 right? They're like, oh yeah, we see it. We don't know what it is either, right? And then they basically lead him on with this whole alien shit for like years until it drove him crazy.
So the full point of what
I
I'm
posted
saying,
a documentary about that
ready?
guy on the group.
This is exactly kind of how I thought it could have happened before it did. Like, I wasn't really anticipating that I would get put to disinformation, but turns out I told you I had 2 different friend groups, right? Mm-hmm. So like they were all military, but one didn't know about the other. So like 2 of these people were just set up as a military intelligence disinformation hit for mass surveillance to flag it as national security when it's not. I knew a guy who I met on Gary's mod who was a veteran Army Ranger from the Gulf War. And I had him look into... Well, I basically asked him, like, what do you know about the human experimentation stuff? And he said that he was going to look into it. Well, he had a friend who had a clearance to look into any of that kind of stuff. And he did. That they confirmed that there was a huge ongoing human experimentation program. And I also had, I think, 2 more friends from that guy. One of them was joining the Marines, I think, and one of them was already a Marine. The Marine who went through basic training came back and said there was a recruit who got dragged away and sent to a high pulse weapons room where they basically mind controlled him to make him forget about what happened when he was disobeying the drill instructor. And they said that people saw this happen. He got dragged away, he got mind controlled, and they put him back, and it was as if nothing happened, but he was under control.
As far as I know, either Alexander Vidman was a mutual friend to Honey Donnelly, who added him to the group, like invited him to it, and then I just didn't know who he was and approved it, or he was in one of the multitude of like veterans, resistance, or Trump groups that I shared it to, or I may have even, I've invited like over 1,000 people to the group over the years, so I may have even invited him to it across a couple of fake profiles, like a good couple of 1,000 people. Statistically speaking, like I actually get a decent amount, like when I invite people personally, and then there's like the people that friend request me, so that's pretty good. They just fucking automatically go in there. So I get a decent amount of, but it's still some crazy ass shit to think this is a guy who's in Alex Jones videos being called a traitor, who was in my frickin' group posting propaganda.
Well, that in itself is like calling someone a traitor. I don't know. It feels like propaganda to propaganda in a way.
Well, I don't remember. I don't remember the full story behind him. And I'm gonna have to look into that. But it is just really crazy shit. I mean, frickin'.
I have a lot more that I can share if you want to hear about it.
Well, I wanted to get into the. We only got like 20 minutes left on this before I run out of space here. I wanted to get into some of the breakdowns of the InfoWars Alex Jones supplements. I can't even do it anymore. Fight the New World Order. I wanted to get into
sounds nothing like
yeah, I know, right? I wanted to get into some of the breakdowns of the ingredient amounts and the prices that you were talking about there, and I think I don't know, I might get another, like, how much is just a thing of chicken nuggets?
Overpriced.
Yeah, by itself.
Overpriced.
Just get another big bag.
I literally have chicken nuggets at the house that you can have some.
Yeah. I'll wait until
Okay, so you want to talk about the overpriced supplements? Well, DNA Force Plus is $160 on Infowars store.
It's not for one bottle. Though. That's like a
Infowars
triple
store.com.
pack. That's like a. That's
No,
like
no, no, no,
three of
no,
them.
no. It's a 1 month supply. Okay.
No way. There's.
No, it is. Take 2 in the morning. Take 2 at night. It's a 1 month supply. Now get ready, because I looked up all of the ingredients and figured out it's like you can get the bottles of like at least 200 to maybe like 300 something pills per ingredient, and it costs about $180. And that means, well, with the extracts and the higher quantity milligrams, it's like 3 months per bottle on average, at least. So
So you're talking about like a $30 difference there.
no, what I'm saying is, okay, it says take 2 pills, right? So each pill is about 600 milligrams. 1,200 milligrams. You look at how many ingredients are in one pill. It's 12 different ingredients in one pill. So that is actually about 50 milligrams of each ingredient per pill. If you compare that to what it is to just take the only the ingredient bottle for each ingredient, dude, 50 milligrams, it's 100 milligrams for 2 pills, right, of each ingredient. Maybe. It actually, that's probably not accurate at all. It's probably not just 100 milligrams. It's probably like different listings of milligrams for each ingredient in one pill. Okay, it's not just going to be like 50 and 12 ingredients. It's going to change somehow. They're not going to have it that accurate. The point is, the potency of that, it's just the amount of things that they're combining. It's not that each thing is like exactly what the daily intake should be of that. And that's what's really stupid.
Well, a lot of times they go overboard and they're like, "This is 12,000% of your daily value."
Even an extract, dude. The way that supplements are, like the way that they get the supplements, they get an extract usually. Well, for some things, of that ingredient. So you could have whatever the extract is, and that means they take an amount of an extract, and that's what the milligrams are. The potency is increased, but if they're only giving you 50 milligrams per pill, it's not a lot. It's not even enough.
I'm just saying, if you're talking about,
It's negligible.
if you're talking about, because I've tried the Infowars products. I've had the frickin' Survival Shield.
Survival Shield X2 is good,
Like,
right?
all right, Survival
Yeah.
Shield X2 is good, but you know, one of my friends, Jonah, he bought like all the stuff. He went crazy with it. And he swore by all that
Yeah,
shit.
and it's overpriced.
You know, well, all right.
It's
but if you're
absolutely
talking
overpriced.
if you're coming from a position of, oh, well, I can just buy all of these, I can just scour Amazon and find all of these ingredients and then sit there and make my own pills. And
You don't
it'll
need
be-
to make your own
It'll
pills.
be $30-$40 cheaper. You know.
You don't even need to make your own pills.
All right, but you get what I'm
point of
saying.
it-
Most people don't want to deal with all that. I mean, you're not who he's advertising to anyway. Most people aren't going to sit there
From my
and do
perspective, though,
the
like when I
hours of
first
research.
No.
to-
From my perspective, part of the reason why I didn't take supplements earlier was because of how overpriced that is. To me, it's like that feels so damning. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? People
but if
generally should understand.
I mean, you tried
if they're
you tried
paying
like
something
drop
overpriced.
You tried like drop shipping and stuff. I mean, you know, anytime you're selling anything, I mean, even if you're selling bud, you run into you have to be able to compartmentalize yourself away from the other guy, and no matter how much you like the other guy, be like, all right, but you know, you do understand, and this is a dumbass conversation that you have with people all the time if you're selling bud, they go, oh, well, no, obviously I'm not going to give you just to boil it down real quick, if I buy $10 worth and I get this amount, I'm obviously not going to give you the whole amount for $10.
Yeah, well, 50% off on InfoWars
All right.
is actually, I don't want to call it a scam. To me, as someone who actually needs the nutrients, it is a scam if not the idea being understood. Actually, it's to donate to them to fund their operation. So you understand? That's actually how he kind of explains it. It's a 360 win-win, right? It's actually like a 180 in a way, but you can still get benefits of it. So it's like a 180 plus 90 or 45.
Well,
it's like 180 plus 45.
the thing that I'm looking at too is the fact that the whole layered amount of innovations and infrastructure that had to be built, the labs, the research that had to be done.
Dude, you can outsource all of that. I was just looking up like.
All right, but
what you would do to make those.
You're saying the equivalent of, oh, I could just program my own Call of Duty. I don't need yeah, you could, but most people don't want to sit there and frickin' try to find all the ingredients and then mash them all together and da-da-da-da.
Honestly, those
it's
ingredients,
$30
people don't need all.
$40,
People don't need all of those, by the way. That's the other thing. There's a lot of ingredients in there that, like, if somebody just bought some zinc instead or some magnesium or like had a pre and probiotic, they'd be all set. The thing is...
Oh, I don't care. I mean, if the globalists, if the New World Order people are going to sit there like vampires drinking blood, I want all the shit I can get.
Look.
We'll be like the guy with the crosses from Helsing Ultimate Vampire Slayer versus Alucard.
I'll be right back, but what I'm just
I'm
explaining...
going to order a thing. I mean, we only got like a few minutes. But it's like buying a car. You want to fucking... You really want to sit there and try to pull pieces of metal out of the ground and then hammer it down. Okay, so you can go on Amazon and buy all the pieces to a charger and probably assemble them.
Dude, it's really easy. It's not like a freaking car.
It's a patriotic duty, man.
No, the thing is, if someone's overpricing supplements and you can't afford that, then maybe someone who doesn't usually take supplements or vitamins is not feeling as inclined to spend that much money because they're going to think, oh, this is overpriced. And that's like the first impression that they get after like maybe having like vitamin C as a kid.
I don't know, man. Even as a kid, even as a teenager watching the Alex Jones show, I mean, I pay $60 for a video game. I never looked at, most of his supplements are between like $45 and $20. Most of like a lot of shit is like $30. Like, I never looked at his prices of stuff and said, oh, that's, something like iodine.
All right.
Taking that iodine really was a big
How much do you think
moment
this costs?
How much?
How much?
$20? $8?
Probably. How much do you think this costs?
How much?
Guess. It's zinc.
10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, understand, someone who plans out all of their supplements looks at this and says, okay, I can figure out, first of all, this is cheaper than Alex Jones' stuff. Well, that's not first of all.
Alex
but that's
Jones
like
wouldn't
added.
sell you just plain zinc. He'd have 25 other things in there
But
mixed
all
together
of these
to tackle a specific issue.
The thing is, on average, these supplements are actually kind of scammy of what they are. If it's not just a pure nutrient as one thing, they're adding other stuff, and it's usually like negligible, or like I don't want to say negligible, but it's not. And it really depends on what it is. Like if you get something for like your cartilage or whatever, like you get like supplements that help cartilage. Those have sometimes two things in them because those things work good in conjunction. But the thing is,
well, for instance,
with all these other things, they're overpriced. It's overpriced. That's it.
For instance, he's got a methylene blue pill where it's the methylene blue.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's got the methylene blue isolated in the selenium and all the other stuff that'll help it pull it into your body.
Okay, so the quantity.
So that's the kind of thing I'm
but,
talking
but
about.
the quantity would be less than the tincture.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course it is. But what the hell? We're talking about.
I care about the
We're
quantity.
talking about a liquid tincture now versus a pill. Of course, that's going to be a different thing. Even if you were to make gel capsules, then you wouldn't have, unless you had all the extra stuff contained within the gel part of the capsule itself, it wouldn't have as much liquid in it as squirting your frickin'.
Sure.
But he advertises that one as a on-the-go travel kind of thing, and because
I
you don't
don't
want
even
to spill
care
the whole bottle.
because the thing
But
is, the way I look
regardless-
at it, I just break down its quantity.
All right, but I'm just saying.
Other people think,
I'm
oh, it's
just
convenient.
saying.
It's convenient.
Oh,
whatever.
you could. I'm sure you could buy a whole Temu charger. I've seen advertisements where they have the whole, where they're like, this is part number 4,296 of your charger. It's like literally a freaking bolt, a singular bolt in a plastic bag. I swear to God, you've seen these ads for Temu? Singular bolt in a plastic bag for like 45 cents, and this is like bolt number 4,000 to a charger.
Well, I haven't seen that.
I
I've seen
swear
stuff
to
that's kind
God,
of
dude.
like weird marketing on there. The way that Temu does marketing is just crazy. It's funny, but it's also it's like designed to get a dopamine rush out of someone, and then it's like
what I'm
gotta
getting
catch
at,
to it.
like, I mean, I think that's I think Alex Jones supplements
Hey,
are a nice
as someone who
entry
needs
level.
to survive and not mess around, me getting my supplements at the right price, that's what's important to me. I can respect Alex Jones, right? I can respect Infowars.com. You want to know what I really think about this, which is important? I was just thinking about this earlier, and I was watching a video and you were on your way here. Alex Jones' mental health. Okay, just process this, because this isn't insulting to him. This is literally like, if people are profiling Alex Jones or anyone who watches him, it's at a point where you have to understand he has tried to do this radio show for how many years? Like over 25 years.
Well, I would say he's successfully done this radio show.
No,
for
but mentally
over
he's
25
tried.
years.
Yeah, but mentally he's tried. So think about like what's the emotional baggage that someone has from doing this radio show for 25 years or more.
I don't think it's
and having success, but also getting at a point where it's like when he had those like outbursts of rage, he's not going out there and like strangling someone, but he's saying,
yeah, but I mean, that
I
is
want this to
And
improve.
I'll say exactly what he says is that's a normal human response to literal vampiric demons that are harvesting your kids and turning all the frogs gay.
But what I'm
and
saying
I
is
respond the same exact way.
the
There's
anger.
sometimes
No,
perfectly normal. The problem is that the majority of society, and we're slowly getting rid of that and reversing this process, but the problem is that a large portion of society doesn't get angry enough when they see all the stuff going on. That's the problem.
But there's different
he is
intellects
more
to anger.
mentally healthy
Look.
than the average person who just, oh, well, I guess I'm going to let the government poison me.
All
and
right,
da-da-da-da.
so ready? Here's really what it is.
Now wait. I would say it is the subject matter being so dark that could be grating on a person, but asking him how his mental health is doing because he's been running a radio show for so long is like asking anybody working any other job how they're doing because they've been doing the job so long. He loves the job.
I'm not
think
trying
he's
to find
probably-
vulnerabilities in his ideas exactly. What I'm trying to say is he's at a point where I've seen him rage, and he takes his own personality and kind of inputs it into what he's raging about. And
If
at
you-
that point,
If
Hold on.
you haven't watched it consistently like I have over
No, I
the
have.
past years. No, you haven't.
I have.
No, you haven't.
not
I
very
guarantee-
recently.
I guarantee you, okay? My track record's fully posted and on display. I guarantee you have not watched it as consistently as I have. And I've watched him level up and level up and level up, and the show get even better and better, and him also getting more physically fit and working
Yeah.
out and getting on his, taking his own advice and taking his own supplements and stuff.
But look, I want to complete my explanation for this. Ready? A lot of times I try to explain things, you cut me off. But hold on. What I'm saying is that he has an emotional vulnerability, which is not something that I am like attacking him for. And I'm not saying it makes him a bad person, and I'm not saying that he's stupid because of it. What I'm saying is there are times that he's had these outbursts, and I've thought, well, you know what? I just look at that as like when they try to get you, or when you feel like you're at an idea that it's a personal attack, or like it hurts your feelings, there's kind of an idea of like, what if I just look above that? And sometimes that doesn't he doesn't fully embrace that, but he takes offense to it personally. Now here's
Well, yeah, when you're personally getting sued for billions of dollars, you might personally get pissed. Durr.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying I wish that he could really, really get past all of that, because if he could, then
Because
he would have less passion for what he's
He
doing.
would not have any marketability, because
That's it
Alex
too.
Jones turning Super Saiyan because he's so outraged
Yeah.
at what's going on is Alex Jones.
Yeah, I know.
And literally, I relate so much to it because it is the exact same process that I went through that started my whole thing. Is because I'd be trying to watch him, and then I'd end up looking up something that he was talking about, and I'd get so outraged that I'm like, all right, I can't just sit here and contain this to myself or talk to my friends about it, or even my little, list of friends in my actual profile. I've got to compile something together that will result in me having fired a shot with him at the New
So
World
my
Order.
point about what I'm
I
saying.
will dump
Ready?
this outrage into
Yeah,
something
I get it.
productive like he is doing.
I understand.
And so that's how I'm able to fuel myself, because if it was and also it's all the stuff you love too that you're getting. If you didn't have anything you loved, you wouldn't get mad about all the destruction. You just
Sure.
sit there passively.
Yeah,
But that's why they want isolated, atomized people with no families.
the way I look at it is there's so many things I could explain the right solutions to a lot of problems. When I figured out I don't even have a group of people who listen to me that way, I looked at it and I said, I could get angry about this, but it's not good for me. Like when he has a lot of people who
But
listen
you
to
need,
him.
all right, but the anger, okay, and this is actually something he
Witnesses
said.
of anger.
Wait, now, this is actually something he said. But so now, you make a conscious decision. All right, I'm going to stay up for an extra 6 hours tonight and research this topic so I can break it down in the next show and da-da-da-da. All right, same thing with me, all right? I'm not quitting. I'm staying up tonight, da-da-da-da. That's how I built up this group like this, all right? Frickin' effort.
Yeah.
Okay? And so you have to be emotionally charged behind it. You can't you're not going to do this if you're just, oh, well, I'm in it for the money, or whatever the other motivation is. All right? You've got to have actual oomph behind it. That's what the emotion is the fuel that drives the machine.
I understand that completely.
Because it's real.
Yeah, but so my situation, like my life and my growing pains in life and my past, I'm a musician,